What if I told you that the most gripping stories you've ever heard have two key elements in common: depth and conflict? In the realm of storytelling, depth and conflict are like the salt and pepper of a gourmet dish. They add flavor, dimension, and most importantly, intrigue. Depth, for instance, is the layering of details, emotions, and complexities that make characters and narratives feel real and relatable. Think about the intricate personalities of the characters in the Game of Thrones series. Each character is a labyrinth of motives, secrets, and virtues, making them more than just fictional figures on a page or screen. Now, let's consider conflict. This is the tension, the strife, the challenges that drive a story forward. Recall the Harry Potter series, where every page brims with trials and tribulations, pushing the characters to their limits and beyond. As we see, depth and conflict are the heart and soul of any captivating story. Now, have you ever wondered how these elements are visually represented in film or photography? This is where the rule of thirds comes in. The rule of thirds is a fundamental principle in visual composition, used by filmmakers and photographers to create depth and interest in their scenes. Imagine a grid overlaying your screen or viewfinder, dividing it into 9 equal parts, 3 rows and 3 columns. The magic happens when you place your subject along these lines or at their intersections. Take, for instance, the iconic scene of the Titanic sinking. The ship is placed along the bottom third of the frame, creating a sense of depth and scale. Or consider Da Vinci's Last Supper painting, where the figures are arranged along the horizontal lines, drawing your eyes towards the center. This clever use of spatial division adds depth and heightens the visual intrigue. As we have seen, the rule of thirds is a powerful tool to add depth and make a story visually compelling. On the other hand, conflict serves as the catalyst that propels the story forward. It's the spark that ignites the flame of intrigue, the ripples that disturb the calm waters. But let's take a step back and reconsider what we mean by conflict. Often we think of battles, disputes, or wars, but conflict in storytelling isn't always so dramatic. Let's take the character Walter White from the series Breaking Bad. His conflict isn't just with the law or his rivals. It's within himself, his struggle to reconcile his actions with his morality. Or consider the classic novel To Kill a Mockingbird. The conflict isn't just a court case, it's a societal conflict, a clash of values and perceptions. Conflict, whether internal or external, individual or societal, adds depth to our characters and their stories. It's the tension that keeps us turning the pages, the suspense that keeps us on the edge of our seats. Conflict, in its many forms, is the driving force that keeps us hooked to a story. So how can we combine depth and conflict in a unique and innovative way? Here's where the attribute dependency technique from systematic inventive thinking comes in. This technique is a key tool for innovation, where one attribute depends on another. In our case, the depth of our story could be influenced by the level of conflict, or vice versa. Let's take a trip down memory lane and look at the movie Fight Club. Here, the depth of the story is enhanced by the unexpected plot twist, a key conflict that changes our entire perspective. The conflict isn't just between the characters, it's within the main character himself. The more the plot unveils, the more we dive deeper into the psyche of the protagonist. This is a compelling example of how the attribute of conflict can add layers of depth to a story. But it's not just about adding conflict to create depth. The dependency can work the other way round too. Consider the book The Great Gatsby. The depth of the characters and their complex relationships create multiple layers of conflicts. The deeper the character, the more multifaceted the conflicts become. It's like peeling an onion. With every layer you remove, you discover another layer of conflict. So how can we apply this attribute dependency technique to our own storytelling? We can start by asking ourselves, how can the level of conflict in our story change as we add more depth to our characters or plot? Conversely, how can the depth of our story evolve as we introduce more conflict? By considering these questions, we can start to see how these two attributes can work in tandem to create a more engaging and innovative narrative. By using the attribute dependency technique, we can create stories that are not just engaging, but also innovative and unforgettable. Remember, it's not about using conflict to create depth or depth to create conflict. It's about seeing how these two attributes can depend on each other and using this interdependency to take our storytelling to new heights. So, let's travel back and recall the essence of our exploration today. We began with the intrigue of depth and conflict, two powerful tools that can transform even the most mundane narrative into a captivating story. We then explored the rule of thirds, an artistic principle that brings depth to visual content, making it more engaging and memorable. We delved into the ingredient of conflict, the spice that gives our stories their flavor, their tension, their drive. Without conflict, a story lacks substance, it lacks intrigue, it lacks the very heartbeat that keeps us engaged. And then we introduced the attribute dependency technique, a fresh perspective that opens up endless possibilities for innovation. This technique encourages us to think outside of the box, to create unique connections between seemingly unrelated attributes. Remember, a story without depth and conflict is like a song without melody. Keep these elements in mind and your stories will never fail to captivate.